It's the last lecture of the festival, CANaction of 2016. It is a pity, it's already over. I had the feeling we just started. And what we last day did in the workshop, and in the and we had a really nice lectures. What we saw is working on the existing urban tissue and working on the existing buildings who exist already in Kiev. We explored that the last days. We have two workshops about the museum, the surrounding of the museum, and the museum itself. And we had fantastic lectures about resilience architecture. Really inspiring lectures. What you see, what resilience can mean, especially the last lecture, we see it all. We see all this nice work and see how architecture can do in the society. And resilience is the capacity of changing conditions and to maintain or regain functionality and vitality of cities and buildings. And the last days with all of us, we discuss about it, we see about it, we talk about it. And I think that's good for the future. Good for the future for the CANaction Festival, and also interesting for the school. See what's the new agenda, what's the agenda for the future. Dus I will end this festival not with projects. I will end with a research I'm working on at the moment. To see also, it has also to do with resilience, of course, but also to see the role, also to do with the role of the architect in the future in my society, but also I can see how we can translate it maybe to the Ukraine society. Resilience architecture is between this kind of fields, as my believing. And of course, it's about urban, about people and place. And what we see, what we did in the lectures and in the workshop, you see the design economics and the design technology, architecture and urbanism. We did, and a little bit in my lecture now, I will a bit explore the economics and technology. So let's say the data part of this work, of this resilient architecture and urbanism, I must say. So it's more about defining the question, defining the assignments, and start a dialogue in a really early phase of the project. And I show you how you can do this. It's about a research about this area. In the right corner up, you see what it is in the Netherlands, the southwest of Netherlands. This is the province of South Holland is called. It's the most density area in the Netherlands, and the most biggest province in the Netherlands. And what you see already on this picture is that it's a typical European, you can say. It is about all kind of small cities, about small urban areas, but together it's one of the most dense areas in the world, about 400 inhabitants square kilometer. And that is typical for Europe. In Europe are no big cities, actually, almost no big cities. London and Paris, they are big, but the rest are really small cities. We have a lot of cities in Europe, is up to 1 million. And that is good, because you are really close to nature. That makes it quite interesting. That's also the quality of Europe, always close to nature. It's good accessible. The cities are close to each other, so they can also share facilities and amenities in the city. And that makes the quality of Europe. But to keep this quality, you have to work on it. Dus we can make bigger cities in Europe, I think, and we think in this research. But cities are the powerhouse of the global economy. So that's what I have to do in Europe, but with it kind of urban areas to develop. So this research, is started to find out what we can do with this typical urban area for the Netherlands, and also a little bit typical for the European Union, for Europe as entity, how to deal with this. And it has all to do with economic, and to get interesting for companies and to be interesting for companies, you need good living environments. Otherwise, it will end. So these are the starting point of this research. This is in Dutch. I have a little bit to translate. So if you have to be in an interesting region in Europe, you have to. It's about accessibility. Bereikbaarheid is in Dutch, but accessibility. Dus you have to be reachable. The living climate is the green one, and the magenta one is the density, you can say. This is the closest to each other. That are the three circles we're working in. So now, you have to give attention to every circle to get a good city and to get a good living climate. Now you see that's part of Europe, the Northwest Europe. And you see what you could see is that all this small urban development connected by roads and railroads, of course. And in the Netherlands also, especially also connected by water. So in this area, the south of Holland, the demand of housing is about 200,000, more or less. That's the research. And what you see down, they also research what is needed. Dus in this total urban area, you have a low density to high density. This demand of high density is very high, but there's also a demand of still a demand in this urban area of countryside living, we call it. So there were demands of the province, but how to do it, nobody knows, actually. Yeah, that's not true. Somebody knows. That are the developers. They say, in the green area between the cities, there's enough space. There's the quality of living is this green space and the accessibility of this green space. But there are green meadows, with mostly cows on it in the Netherlands, and there's plenty of space, they say. So let's start in these meadows. But if you, these are the existing plants. So of this demand of 200,000, more than 200,000 dwellings, is the most of a really big part of it is planned in this green area. So we have the cities, but we are only extending the cities, and on a certain moment you see that the city only growing, and they go touch each other, you can say, and it is over with the green space. So the green space between the city is quite worthwhile, and this somebody is coming, I hope. But so these plans already exist, and 2/3 of these plans are, we call it hard. They will say they start to begin. But we learned earlier that the urban area, that is the quality of living, that is also demand of living. Not this we call it then the suburban living or the village living. That is not the question. So we started. We started this research to, and the last one is the most important. This one, to how to use the existing city better. How can do this? What can we offer to this to the demand of 200,000 dwellings? So the starting point of this research. And I start over here. It's the existing urban boundaries. Well, they exist. There's a line, a red line, existing boundaries. In between, there's green or blue in the Netherlands. There's some water, and we have the transport, the existing transport system. So we have the public transport, and we have the car accessibility. We research and that's all the data. We research it, all the public data. We can use. We say, well, okay, what is good accessible and what is not that good accessible? You see the dark and the light over here, also the dark and the light. Good accessible by car or good accessible by public transport. And we have this the boundaries of the urban area. And then the next step was, okay, we define 6 types of modalities. It goes from international, you see, to local. Also do with density, of course. International, national, regional, OVs means public transport, car, and local. Low density, high density. And you see how the accessibility are by car and by public transport. And in the Netherlands also the bike is an important modality to use to go to your work or go to travel as a commuter. So you see in this levels also the car is very important. The bike is very important. And in this different modalities, we can couple a density for working, high density of working, and a density of living, low density, high density. Okay, so we define this, and there are rules for, and now, okay, also based on data. And in the Netherlands, more or less, it looks like this, all these different modalities and all this different way of density. It exists already, of course, when we are talking about the existing city, and it more looks like this. Right? You see over here the countryside and horse, but on the border of the countryside, you see the existing city. And above you see the high density in Amsterdam or Rotterdam, for example, and The Hague. And there are collages about this, how to get a feeling about this. And then we produce this 6 book. So I must admit, 7 books. For the car, we needed 2 books because there were too much. So we investigate South Holland with its different modalities and all these possible places in the city. We have this 6 books plus 1. For the answer, the car was double. And we find it out in the borders of the cities, existing cities, within the border of the existing city borders, there were 3,206 spaces over to develop. Nobody knows. We discover. So there's more than 3,000 locations who are possibilities or the potential to develop. So not into the outskirts of the existing boundaries, but in the inskirts. And that was really a strange eye-opener for everybody, that it's possible to have all this location. These are the books look like. They just finished. And I'm going to not show all this 3,000 location. That was not the idea from this lecture, but I showed some to have the feeling. There are big locations, there are small locations, there are former. This location are free space. There are former of almost not well-used sport facilities, or sport facility are location that is really interesting to. This is an international location next to the station in Rotterdam. Do we need there a sports facility? That is the discussion. Also smaller in the student dwelling areas. This is an unused place, often place with no function anymore. And for every location, we fill it up with data. Data was all public, and data where everybody actually can reach. But the thing is, we combine all this data, and we make all this, and we make this atlas. We call it an atlas. We make this atlas with all this location. Everybody can go through, and that makes a big difference. So we make this product. With the first time we came with all these books, it was incredible. People were a little bit shocked. For all this every page was a location. We can do something. So we qualify all these locations, of course, in these 6 different mobilities, and also for with these different mobilities, we have also to think about different typology of living, but living and working, I must say. And a quick scan, we can also at the 200,000, a little bit more. Also, there's 200,000 dwellings. The demand was 200,000, and we, in our research, in the borders was also 200,000. Because we say immediately, now we don't need to build outside the city borders. We have to build inside the city borders. And that was a little bit, the municipality and the province a little bit shocked about this. So what to do with this? Because the plants on the outside need new roads, they need new sewing system, they need new everything. And these plants, this locations are in the city, so everything is already there. Of course, you have to do something to get into to connect it, but it is already there. It is only to use better the existing system, every system. There's also, you saw the car accessibility and the public transport, but it's also about sewing system, water, the water systems, and it's also very, very important. So this using from the existing city are only better. The next step of also part of the research was to qualify the different locations. So we have there's more than 3,000 locations, and they had a certain quality. So there were some existing plants. There were some brownfields, old industrial areas. There were empty buildings. A shopping area was not in use. There's in the urban area where there were also some greenhouses and also some agricultural land. It was every piece of land in the Netherlands has a function, or it's labeled as a function. I must say, does not have a function, but it's labeled as a function. So we can label all these pieces of land. And then we say, okay, we don't use everything, only the existing plants we use, every house we use, that was already counted. And from the other categories, we use not the whole potential, because there's also discussion. Sometimes it's not possible to build on this place, or things are happening just between the research and what we have now. It's more than 1 year. So the things are happening in between. So we use not everything. And so the potential is even bigger. Because we use not everything, for all this location, we know not every potential. We use it partly. And then we get on this 200,000 dwellings already. And then we make this in-between map. It's very important also for the communication with the province and the municipalities who are involved. It's also important how to see where these plants are. These are the existing plants, and the projects on the locations. The brownfields, they're not that much, but some are really big, I must say. That goes all this category, and you find out how many dwellings are possible on these areas. And also this was the greenhouses. I want to tell that in between this area, between this area is all greenhouses. A lot of food production is there already, but also there some greenhouses were in the existing urban tissue. So we have this demand, and we have our offer in the urban area, and only what the difference was, it was in this area. You see, this on the border of the city. We have some problems. So the demand is 20% over here, and we have 30% over here, and it goes over, and then 60 there, and 21 at our place. So but it's also an interesting discussion. This on the city border. What is village? What is we call it green city life? Where exactly is border? What is an interesting discussion point at the moment. So we have this research. It was a really massive research, you see, and we did more than a year. We work on it, and. So the question was now what to do with this knowledge, this data, all based on data. And what we recognized immediately, that the data, we put it on maps, in communication it was perfect. Everybody understand it, and everybody see the places, and or get shocked, or get really enthusiastic about it. One of two, there was nothing in the between. So we start now in the next process, and we are we are now doing it to pilot projects with all this data. And so I had some presentations, and we have also more discussion around this location in Southern Holland, and but it's all municipality work. They were only interesting at the moment. So what we try to do now, or we are working on it, is the right program at the right place with the right parties. So we have 2 pilot projects. We call it P-matching of the program places and parties in Rotterdam. It's a small agglomeration. It's near Rotterdam. So we say, okay, let's go on with this. Everybody likes it. The municipality are enthusiastic about this research. Let's go on it. So it's knowledge. The knowledge that we felt independently with public public data. But the triple helix is about a public and a market. So let's invite these people. Let's try so we ask this to municipalities to join and to different projects, but also ask market parties to join also this project. And now, if you do this triple helix well, see how it works. And so if you in the overlap between the knowledge and market is innovation started, or there's innovation. Design and politics is in the overlap over here, and the knowledge infrastructure is in the overlap between public and knowledge. So we try to maintain this three circles, you can say, quite well, because then you get a knowledge-based design, you can call. So design was not only as emotion will all get in, the architecture, and especially architecture and less urbanism, is based on emotion, that's no problem. But let's base this emotion on research and on knowledge, what everybody also communicate with. So you see that also the role of people in this within this knowledge market and public is different. It starts to be different. So a student researcher on a knowledge institute, you got more participants in the project. For the market, people are customers, but now you see all this development as co-ownership and ownership, and be part of the owner of the product. And from citizen, this public sector, you go to user. It's not that you are waiting what to do, you start to act. And also the relation between these areas, between the circles, is also now shifting. And it makes it also quite vibrant to work on it and see how it is working and how it's going. And it is an example of another example. You categorize things and try to find out how it works. And it's also to try it out again and again, have to try out how it works. It can work for urban design and architecture, but it can also work for other things. So in this lab overs, you see all these different assignments. This assignment-driven in this forming assignments and the public partnership. So you can name all this what's happening now in architecture and urban design world in the Netherlands. You can qualify now. That's what we did. So the research is we did it with the Delta Metropole, an association, an independent researcher in the Independent Research Institute. We have this municipalities, these two, the city of Rotterdam and Drechtstede, and the province as a public partner. And we have Bouwen Nederland, and that is they have no translation of the name I saw, but that is a trade organization, and we represent 5,000 developers in the Netherlands. Those developers and constructors. So people who build these dwellings and develop these dwellings, or can develop these dwellings. So they are also in. And we will not go to individual commercial parties, but we try to have a trade organization and then find also to start with this right party at the right place with the right program. That is not, you can do it with one or two parties. You have to be in something bigger that you can choose a little bit. So, and they were very enthusiastic of it, about this research of all these locations. So they really want to join this and to try to find new ways to do development. Yeah, and I'm a little bit in the between. Just, I have to handle with all these three kind of different demands they have all. I try to manage it. There's not too much academic work is also not good. It has to be communicationable to both parties. The public sector in the Netherlands, at least, they have a lot of demands. They want a lot, but they don't want to pay for it. And the market parties, of course, they want to have a lot of profit. That is their work. That's okay. That's no problem. But they're also asking, on the public sector, what I have to do? Please tell me. And they have to talk with each other. And now we try to, for this occasion on these two cities, we try to formulate what is good for a location, what is good for this city. So, we go to Drechtstede, we are finished now. This is what it looks like, of course, on the water side. You see also, that is a typical Dutch old city, and you see already the existing extension of the city. For this Drechtstede only, we had 320 locations. That's quite a lot. And the Drechtstede had as economic driver, they want to become a maritime top regio. And they have a lot of maritime industry there. There's a lot of shipyards, also a lot of advising in the shipyards, a lot of engineering offices for the shipyards, and a lot of dredging companies. And what they needed to extend this business, and we talk about with some companies already. So we need people, higher educated people in the city. The labor is very good in the city, but we need also a good environment for higher education, higher educated people, knowledge people we call it. So we defined together four profiles, and with these profiles we need some values also. So we have this 300 location I told you, and we have to filter them, because with the 300 locations too much, you can start with it and you have no discussion. So we define this three together with some market parties. This four different living environments. Living in nature, more for families. And top value was to a high quality of living, just next to nature, next to the good landscapes. Living and working together. There's interaction. The international location you can remember. That's the environmental proximity of all kind of functions. The maritime workers, they have to, just with all this maritime industry, they have to work. They want to live nearby, and we have this living in Randstad. So the accessibility of this region is very good. That is quite good, and so you can live there and work somewhere else. So you are part of Randstad. This is the whole area between Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and you can travel to it easily and work and live over here. So these are these colors. You can come back now with these different modalities, and these are more or less 300. Then more or less the other 300 locations. So we have these filters. So we start filtering this location for every living environment. We have some filters. That is about the accessibility to living environment, the good landscapes around the city. To see these rivers, there are actually three rivers. The 1, 2, and 3 are surrounded, and on the other side there are the typical Dutch polder landscape. Flat land on the other side around the city, and that's good for, you can bike there, you can see cows there, that's a really quality landscape. So we searched that. There's about the accessibility of the maritime industry. Thus we pound them out and say, okay, these are good regions to live for people who are working in the maritime sector, and these are the interactive environments. For example, this is the station area of Dordrecht, and also there's also, I don't know every location exact, but it's also maybe a shopping area of a hospital or something like that. Also really good sports facilities. So these are the interaction areas. So all these products we have discussion about, we see, and it also based on data. There's new data, public data about living environment, accessibility again. So, but there's no spreadsheet, but there's a map. And this map makes the communication between all these parties very easily. So we had this, we found, okay, we as researchers, we said, we have just 20 top locations. So we go to the municipality and say, we have just 20 locations. What do you think? Now, we have discussion with them. And then politics starts in. Some location were politics a little bit sensible, so now, well, we don't know yet. Let's wait a minute for this location. Some location, they were already taken by other developments, so it was not interesting. So then you got into a step further in it, and the next step, with these 10 locations, we have a meeting with the developers. Had this Bouwen Nederland, this trade organization. This all these locations, and we invited with who had this location, what kind of location it were. We invited big developers and small developers, and then we have a discussion. We show this to them, and we have a discussion with each other, without the municipality, just only with us and these developers. We have discussion about every location. There were more or less 10. And they have also do remarks and say, no, this is not good, and they have discussion with each other, and that they meet up with each other. That was a really worthwhile for them in the city of Drechtstede. So we had a really good discussion, and we had planned for 3 hours. We discussed about 4 hours, so it was really interesting. And then we ended up with 4. Later on, we added 1. There's 5 locations. We ended up. It's a perfect location. This other location we have to develop. Then we go a little bit further with the research in this location. I show them this quickly. And so this location, so for this one was quite interesting. There was an investor as owner of this building and a lot of area around this. So we involve him also. There was small entrepreneurs were already reprogramming here, small scale program. We invited them also. We talked to them. What do you think of the garage? What is needed here? This is an old school, for example. It was empty. Do we have to demolish it and build new houses, or can we transform this location? That was an interesting discussion. This was a swimming pool from the 60s. There were a lot of amenities already here and facilities, but there were really a lot of parking places not necessary. So the thing was, this is interesting because facilities are there, and you can imagine for older elderly people, it will be an interesting location next to the facilities or on top of the facilities. Also, the people who are involved here, we invited also, and these were sport fields. And they were not used, I can say. There was an extensions location for business area, a little bit filled, but not that much. But it was over, and there's a big hospital in the north here, and it's now empty. This was really a good potential, a really good a neighborhood next to this location. It was really, we can extend there. And this last meeting, we had it 3 weeks ago. So then we invited the municipality, different people from the municipality who knows about these locations. And we knew, and again we invited these developers, the big and small developers. And then we have for every location, for every 5 locations, we have a discussion. And they are not this is on the same table, but on the same table, I'm also a moderator here. We have this moderation sessions, so they are not fighting with each other what to do not and what is good and what is bad. Now we have only an open discussion and a moderating discussion. So as an architect, I'm working here, moderating a program. I'm moderating with the municipality and developers. Dus the municipalities say what are their demands, the developers say their demands, and you got a discussion, what is the best for this location? And of course, there are different developers, there are different ideas about it. So you get a really interesting discussion. And so in the end, so we are finishing at the moment, but now we have a lot of information. So the municipality knows what the developer wants, and the developers knows more or less what the government or the municipality wants. So you got really now. The next step is, of course, the municipality have to sell this ground, or the market party have to sell this ground, and that's the next step in the discussion to get this on. But the discussion is already started. Before any line is drawn, before any design is made, we are making here the program already for these locations. And again, also the entrepreneurs who are already there on this location, on some locations they are also already involved, and what their role is for the near future. So, the role of the architect, and more or less it is the old-fashioned role what we used to. The demand of the effort of work we have to do was in the past very late in the process. So the what was somebody else make the what. And later on in the process, the how and the who, we can get in. That is how the architects and who are the constructor. So through all the other kind of data programs, so we are building information modeling, what we are drawing with now, and there's also programming drawings. It's not about drawing anymore, but it's more also programming. The effort of work, it goes to the front of the process, and now what I'm now doing, and quite interesting, I think, the what is still defined by other people, but now as architect, I have to change this scheme already to the performance requirements. We are now involved in this with this municipality and these developers to define this and to find out what's good for this, and then later on the design will start it. So already in this phase, I enter now. As architect, and again, it's nothing to design there at that moment, and there's a lot to design. But you know how this works as architect, until this phase. So the thinking starts already at that moment, and that makes it quite interesting. And then I must say that I have to develop this work. It's also new for me. It's the first time I presented this way, I must admit, so it's quite new all. But it makes also the work as architect very challenging. And very vibrant also to see how it works. And so we already with our office already working from a linear process. We try to make a circular process. So not the phases are in line in scale, and with the urban planner architect, the scale are in circles, and the subjects are around. So good thing is you can make sections in subject in the scales, and you can handle the subjects on one scale, different subjects. So it makes it very flexible and very open also to join for other disciplines to join your work. And it makes it also possible to add, we call it a little bit more soft elements, soft items to the design, not only the hard items of technology and economy, but also society, utility, sensory, situation, all kind of items you can add here. This makes it also an open way of working. We end up with this sheet. We say the architects and the other attitude of designers. So the last days, what we see, and that has to do with the workshop and all the lectures we had. You see, the context is crucial, and we have respect for the existing situation. It has to do, of course, with people, and the context. This can be the physical context, but also the economic context, the social context. We see in the last presentation in Denmark, the project, the social was very important. There's respect this context. That we have to learn as designers, as architects, as designers in general, or urban or architects. First ask questions and then plan a transformation. And that's also in the workshop this happened this time. So there was first interviews with the museum, people who work at the museum. There were interviews outside the street. There was researching. There's first questioning and then make plans. And that had to do with the third point. We learned architecture is to solve problems, but not every problem needs architecture. And that has to be in mind. And with this festival CANactions, and also with the School of CANactions, we try to change his way of thinking, and it's quite hard, I must admit, but it had to, because the education now is too much focused on the only solving problem and questioning after something is designed. The cities never finished, but buildings are not disposable. Now, first, can we reuse something or not? Not every building is reusable, that is true. We cannot always reprogram it, that's also true. But the question had to be first. And also with education, the forms follow function. It's a modernism style of thinking and building new buildings. That is what we learn too much, I think. This in transformation system and resilient, it's about the possibility function follows form. Dus the urban tissue or the construction of a building is dictating the end product. Dus I'm really a believer that we value the public space and reprogramming and re-renovate buildings. The cities get better, the country get better. I believe in that. And last but not least, century expansion. There was a 20th century, but the 21st century is of the major maintenance. That is what we're in now, and that is, and we need therefore another attitude. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thank you for your lecture. Theo, I have a few questions. First, I was curious about these two graphs that you showed and shift kind of back. My first question is, how do you imagine this in terms of like just simply capitalist relationships and like position of an architect within the market? Like who hires an architect in this situation and how does it work? And my second question is about your last point, that the growth is over. Yeah. But I mean, I kind of cannot imagine Holland without growth. And the way your research was structured was also, it seemed like it's framed for possible growth. I know it's data, but it really looked like, all right, these are empty land. Like, who's curious about that? The developers are, the people who want to again, like, kind of.
Yeah, to start with the last question, of course, there's a grow, but we have to do smart grow. And what the research shows that the grow now is planned in the green meadows outside the cities. It is that to be in the city. And that had to do with grow access. I agree with that. And we have problems in the Netherlands to making housing at the moment. It's difficult to explain, but there's problems. And to start to do it the easy way in the tabula rasa, where there's nothing at the moment, and that is not a good thing. So we have to do it. If there is grow and there is a demand of housing, but do it in the existing urban tissue, in the urban core. That we have to do it now, and that's not to do with not growing. That is not the case, but do it on a smart way, let's say, and then to provide, let the green area green and make the city more dense. That's you can summarize it whole research in it, yeah.
But do you think there will be a point where actually like innovation is in something opposite to growth? Because Holland is quite, I mean, seems to be quite close to that moment, or is it just an impression?
Sorry, I don't understand that you're...
Like, is there a way that, like, I mean, the people like you will be curious about anti-growth or something, some erosion?
I didn't tell of anti-grow, I must admit. It was not my idea to not grow.
Yeah, but my question if there is a possibility of that, you think?
No, I think.
Yeah, okay.
No, yeah, economics grow always, and so that will be. And if you be in a strong region and we go for that, then grow. You need grow, and the grow is not only more people. I must admit that maybe to add to your thing, there's not more people, but the needs are also different. So, for example, in what we now see in our assignments, that the student housing is really hot. The former they had a student house of 12 square meters more in chamber, and in student housing, there's a little bit over. Now all the students want to have houses about 25, 30 square meters, and that's quite new for the Netherlands. So they grow double. And now in student room was 12 square meters, 12 to 15, and now 25 to 30 they need already. And there's also with families. The average of a house in Netherlands for family housing is 110 square meters, but it's also growing to 120, 125. So that means also that means not grow of people, but the needs of people are more living space, and that also do with grow, of course, but there's another kind of grow. So, but we need anyway we need more houses. And to go back on this, it was an interesting question what you say, but what is really shifting at the moment. So I show the first one. So this is the old process. So you get an assignment. Somebody make this assignment, a client or somebody else who was hired by the client. Well, we are totally not involved as architects. Now you start with designing, and then at a certain moment you have to draw everything and it can be built. But then you're so far in the process, and you see the influence of the quality is getting lower and lower more in the process, and the modification costs are going up during the process. And now what you now see, and I now see this, that is almost for every assignment at the moment. And it's that the first phase, and we call it the temporary design phase, is the demand of the client is really high. And sometimes this phase stops over here, somewhere here, and then he goes to a constructor already. That's for commercial parties, we have also this demand already, and also corporation, dwelling corporation, it works also a little bit this way already. So we have to change your earning model of the business model of the architectural offices is changing. In the past we earn the money here, and now we have to earn the money there. So it's quite difficult. It's quite hard actually, also in the practice. And the other thing is that the normal assignments and the other assignments we have, a lot of the Netherlands is at this moment is the DBFMO it's called, design, build, financing, maintaining, and operate. DBFMO. This is from the UK. This model is coming, and then it is quite strange. In the past, you was an architect, you were between the client and the constructor. And now, you are part of the constructor team. The constructor hire you, he finances the whole building, and then you go all this phase. And you are part of the end, and even in the maintaining phase, that can, of course, it can be very long, you're also part of the team. And this kind of assignments are really huge. They are government assignments mostly, just big office space or hospitals, but we are more in the big office space working. To see the constructor of who is financing it, but it's mostly part of the constructor, have to maintain it for 30 years, and then give it back to the client. And that's also working over here. The team working this. Over here you have to know, now the constructor is responsibility for the maintaining, and it gets really interesting. So over here there's a lot of effort in the beginning to do this assignment in a big team, integral teams with all the disciplines together, and we're now working on the office building, and the team our team is 25 people for biophysics, construction, biophysics, and sorry. The mechanical, the engineering. So all the engineering team, including architects, 25 people, and all the disciplines. And there's also a new thing that we evolve, and that we're not in between the client and the constructor, but we are part of the construction team, and that makes also a strange, a new role, a strange role, and that also it asks different demands on the architect, and you also the designing. It's not you have to design this icon and say, okay, let's go this way now. You're part of a team, you're on the table. And that is also what Victor earlier says, that you're more moderating this team. This architect, your role as architect is still very important, but you're more moderator of a team and not the conductor anymore. And so you are new 4 team in the team, And that goes from as a presentator, dus architect as presentator, dus before the screen like me. This is what we're going to do. You're on the table and moderate the whole process. So that's a bit of a boring answer, but all the assignments go all the way this way. And that also to do a little bit about building information modeling. That is not drawing anymore. That is programming the building. And so I don't know if everybody knows how this works, but it's really programming drawings. And it's 3D drawings, but then also programming. And that's also very much to do with this phase, this management of the operating and maintaining phase. And that is also, and there's also kind of shifting between designers and technical designers at the moment. It's a little bit the old phase, in my perception. That it's really shifting this. The designing is also with building information modeling. Is also putting data in the building, and then then you can handle it in the last phase better. And it's taking a lot of effort in the beginning.
Yeah. You said you need more houses in Netherlands, and I doubt that. I mean. Like the students, you said earlier they needed 12 square meters, now they want 25. You said they need 25, but that's not correct, probably, right? They want 25 square meters now. And I don't think that will ever change. People always want more if they can afford that. So that's why my question is it enough to relocate the sites like you made from outside, from the countryside to the brownfields, which is for sure a good idea, and it's a great catalog, no doubts, but is it enough? Or is more your job as an architect, or our job as architects, to find new solutions which need less space and which stops this space consumption, which will, in my opinion, never change if we don't offer different spatial solutions on the same sites.
Yeah, I agree with it, and the research is about space consumption, I think. So if we do it, first of all, Nederland is growing still. Don't go that fast. That is true. And so we're now 70 million in the last month. On 30 March, we were 70 million, but the growth is not that fast. That's true. But our research was also about if there's not occupy this green area, this nice nature. If there's no demand of housing, do it please in the borders of the city. And that's maybe in the future we can, if we have not needed, always will be a problem, but we don't need extra roads now, we don't need extra public transport. So that makes at least a smart solution at the moment. That's the idea about this research. To do it not in the out of the city, but in the city. This is, I think, the first step. And of course, the growth is not that big, but there's really in demand. And this, I must admit that it's in this area of the Netherlands. You're right, the part of the Netherlands, the east side is shrinking. So the north and the south and the east of the Netherlands is really shrinking. But people going to the west, the whole zone from Amsterdam to Rotterdam, that is still growing. And will be grow also in the future. That is what we all expected now at the moment. But on survey every year almost, but let's say every 5 years, we see how you can manage it. And it will be a pity that we now go into the fields again, in the green fields, and to build. And we can better stay in brown fields at the moment. And then we get a better, at least a more density city. But other question.
I completely agree with you that you should go on the brown fields and not on the green fields, 100%, and it's for sure right. But do you build the same typologies that you used to build, just now on the brown fields, and this will not change, right?
No, that's true. And you saw a little bit what we do in Drechtstede now. So the typology of this, what you can imagine, that there's 4 different typology of environments. There's also a new typology of living. That's absolutely true. We now, this research with the books, so we do this project now. But we now are with students of the University of Delft and the Academy in Amsterdam. We also studying, and also with the BNA, dus the Trade Organization for Architects. We now also designing on this empty plot, not empty plots, but all these locations. Dus now this is more a business-like thing, a business-like project, how to develop. But now we started also with all this information to design things, and that's only what you can imagine what can be happening there, and also to start the discussion already. It's the other way around, but it has to start the discussion, and also to find new typology. But that's also, you're right, it's also next step to have to be really aware of, that not to make the same houses and make the same mistakes again with the same typology, and that is true, yeah. And that's what the student housing is now. This is not there's also in city center, but it's also now a thing. There's a new typology for the Netherlands. It's small units for students. We have a lot of business with it at the moment, and that's typical. But it's also for family houses. That's the point.
If it's possible, can I ask a small question? Very small.
Very short answer.
Very short.
Very brief answer.
I really like one of the statements in the end, and you also mentioned that. Obviously, probably, but not every problem can be solved by architecture, but very often, I think, in architecture work, there is kind of a tendency to solve everything with architecture, or mostly important, if there is a problem, it's already an assumption that architecture should be a solution. Do you think we are moving to the direction, or even could be paid sometime, for a real analysis, and even if in the end we say, you know what, we built nothing here, and this is the best solution, could it be kind of an accepted way of thinking in professional or even in university work to say, in the end, no architecture?
A brief answer is yes. Yeah, I think that's but it had to be in the mind. And that, and then we can start at the students' architecture. That's one important thing to start. But also the project I show you with the developers is also, it starts also there. And also, we as a designer actually have to also be aware that I have to talk with these people and ask what their demands are, and then you can start a discussion. So I think it is possible, but it had to be in a smart way. So we have everybody, so also the municipalities, they also earn money with developing, they sell the ground mostly, and the developers have to give them something back then. And there we have, as designers, we can think about this, how to do this. So there has to be, anyway, a business model not developing is also a business model. Also have to try to find out what business model it is. And that I don't know actually at the moment, but I can imagine that in 5 years or something, I don't know, but that we kind of a business model for not building things, but yeah, still developing, yeah.